you doing up here?
And where else should a chimney sweep be? A chimney swept, a secret kept, up here above the gables. Another world to re-unfurl. It ain't just myths and fables. A chimney stack looks cold and black underneath a twilight sky. When there from here, perhaps you'll find out.
What do I look like? That's better.
The word's awfully big, isn't it?
And what does that tell you?
That we are awfully small and unimportant.
Speak for yourself.
Not us so much, but our troubles. They seem so big down in the nursery, but up here...
That's more like it. Troubles are never so valuable. And there's always a helping hand, should you need it.
Here.
Now God in the night, yellow to see, bed I believe, not more. Now they're covered in and they're upon. See, it's true.
Childhood is a step in time, parenthood's the same. Never miss a chance to get it right. When the steps aren't going as smoothly as they might.
All right, lads, let's show what we got, okay?
remember when you're low, feeling in the walls.
Someone's up your chimney.
And it isn't Santa Claus.
If you need us, if you don't, we'll be watching brushes, brooms, and brushes, brooms, and rods. All right, matey!
Oh, you can do better than that, you guys. Let's hear it. That is amazing. Woo! City of Temecula's Youth Musical Theater Group. And somebody tell me, when's the performance? When are the performances? 22nd and the 25th. My goodness. 22nd through the 25th.
25th.
Okay, come on up and tell us.
I don't even need this. Hi, I'm Jennifer Stewart. I'm the director of City of Temecula Youth Musical Theater. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. They're so excited. Their performance is already sold out, all 6
I'm not
performances.
surprised.
And they're great. We have 140 students in our cast, and we came from a 5.5-hour rehearsal today, and they're still able to do that tonight. So they're ready to go.
Councilmember Comachero said, don't they get tired? I said, never.
No, they're kidding. They just do it.
Yeah,
They just push
never.
through.
As awesome job, you guys. My goodness, I was watching all the footwork. Really, are you having fun doing it? That's the most important thing, really, is having fun. Thank you for what you're doing for the arts in Temecula. And, you know, I'm ready to go home and have 6 more kids just so they can be in theater.
Send them my way. I'll take them.
Not.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great job, you guys. Let's hear it from one more time. All right, so we are right on time. Thank you, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the Temecula City Council to order, and you have just seen, once again, City of Temecula's Youth Musical Theater Group. Unbelievable. Mary Poppins. Tonight we have our invocation by Pastor Luke Kirkendall of Southwest Christian Church, followed by the flag salute by Councilmember Comachero. So if you would please come down, Pastor. Good evening. And let's stand and remain standing for the flag salute.
I feel like I have to sing or dance or something.
I know.
I'm exhausted.
Temecula, she is a great city.
Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, before me are ministers, men and women who you have appointed over the city of Temecula. They have been given a task and a responsibility to care and lead. May your hand be upon them. Would your hand be upon this meeting? These men and women are an example of your common grace, and would you give them wisdom? Would you give them kindness? Would you give them compassion? May your providential hand be upon the city of Temecula and her people. Would this city trust in your kindness? Would the city repent and trust in you? I pray for your continued mercy. Each day is a testimony of your kindness, your mercy on display for not giving us what we deserve, and your grace on display in giving us what we don't deserve. And the biggest example of your kindness was when Jesus Christ received your wrath for our sins that we committed. May we especially recognize him as Savior. Though our sins cry out against us, we pray for mercy. We ask for your blessing. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Let's honor our nation. Please join me. Put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And I love you had your theater voices going there. Excellent. Well, we're down in numbers tonight. We're not taking it personally. Councilmember Nagar has taken his entire family on vacation, a well-deserved vacation, I might add. And Stuart is out on a missions trip in Cuba. So he's going to have a story to tell when he gets home. So could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Comachero?
Here.
Councilmember Nagar is absent. Councilmember Ron?
I am here.
And Councilmember Stewart is absent. Mayor Edwards?
Here. On to presentations. We have a presentation that we look forward to every year, not because they donate to the city, but because they do such an amazing job of outreach to the city. The longest nonprofit in town, the Temecula Valley Women's Club, is here. So who's coming down? Anybody? They're all here. Good evening. And you do an incredible job with all of your programs and donating to other nonprofits to benefit Temecula residents, so thank you. How many years?
34?
Yeah,
Yes.
a long time. So welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here in Temecula. Thank you. And we are so happy to participate with this wonderful council because of all the lovely things you do. So, because of the Fallen Heroes Monument that you're making, we wanted to make a contribution from the Women's Club. And we figured out that the flagpole and the light would probably cost about $1,500.
Oh, wonderful.
So we thought we would like to make that contribution to the city, and it's our great pleasure and honor to do that.
I would love to come down and receive, on behalf of the City Council and the City of Temecula and our residents, the big check. So I'll come down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've taken those to the bank. They really don't like seeing these when you come in the bank because it fits in the maker machine. Come on, everybody, come on. It's an annual tradition, and we love it. I like this because we can hide behind it. Oh, we still taking pictures? Are we okay? So come over here and just let me, we could not begin to name all the programs that you have promoted since the beginning of the Women's Club, but I can name many. Safe Alternatives, the Boys and Girls Club, Oak Grove, Assistance League, just and on and on and on.
Well,
And
the Assistance League actually is separate from us, but they do wonderful work, and we like to support them as well.
yes, and so why don't you tell us a little bit about Women's Club, just for a few minutes, and what's going on this year, and,
Oh,
and what
okay.
your big projects are, and
All
your
right.
goals. And thank you so much for the big check.
Oh, thank you. And here's the
Would
little
you like
one.
to keep it for the next time, or do we get to keep it? I'm going to take this home with
And
me.
that one too.
Yeah.
Well, some of the things that we are involved with are, well, domestic violence is a concern, so Safe House is one of the places that we support. Safe House helps people when they age out from the foster care program, for one thing, which is amazing. I was so surprised to learn that they have instituted a program with our city buses so that if a child's in deep trouble, if he can just get to a bus, those bus drivers will take care of that child
Yes.
until someone can get to him. Woo! Animals. We have relationships with Animal Friends of the Valley and with Via Chardonnay. And let's see, help me. We've got 14 major committees that are involved with programs in town. And so we are just so delighted to be able to help where we can. And happily, we've been able to have an effect. And It's so rewarding. I just love it.
Well, on behalf of the city and every resident that benefits from the great work and outreach of the Women's Club for all of these years, we really sincerely thank you. And so the memorial is going to be a beautiful tribute.
I think so, too.
So, and the flagpole is going to be very prominent, obviously. So that's a great contribution.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, we can move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Madam Mayor, we have 3 speakers under general public comments.
All right, so a total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the city council on items that appear within the consent calendar or a matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. If the speaker chooses to address the city council on an item listed on the consent calendar or a matter not listed on the agenda, a request to speak form may be filled out and filed with the city clerk prior to the city council addressing public comments and the consent calendar. Once the speaker is called to speak, please come forward and state your name for the record. For all public hearing or council business items on the agenda, a request to speak form may be filed with the city clerk prior to the city council addressing that item. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. So could we have the first speaker, please?
The first speaker is Ann Schreier, to be followed by Iris Zietlow.
Good evening.
Mayor Edwards, City Council members, my name is Ann Schreier, and I'm Vice President of the Temecula Valley Rose Society. I'm here tonight on behalf of our president who couldn't be here, Rebecca Wersing, to thank the City of Temecula for once again hosting an event in our wonderful Rose Garden. It's called the Night of the Luminaries. It's going to be a week from Saturday on the 24th at Rosehaven Heritage Garden. And this will be the 3rd year that an event like this has been held to mark the beginning of summer. For those of you who might not be familiar with Rosehaven Heritage Garden, it's a more than 3-acre rose garden, and it's also a certified wildlife refuge. It is owned and maintained solely by the members of the Temecula Valley Rose Society, and we keep it open to the public for everyone in town to enjoy. The garden is located at the intersection of Jedediah Smith and Cabrillo in the Los Ranchitos neighborhood. And for more than 20 years now, the members of our society have been transforming what was just an empty, ugly lot of unusable land that was owned by the Water District, and we have slowly transformed that into a fabulous garden filled with literally thousands of roses, hundreds of trees, succulents, an iris garden, and even a large water pond, a large lily pond, which happens to be one of my favorite projects. I have been putting an awful lot of lilies into that pond. Saturday, June 24th from 7 to 9, our garden will be filled by the city with hundreds of glowing lanterns and luminaries, and will make the garden an absolute magical delight. Visitors can enjoy the garden, music, light refreshments, and there will be children's activities. If you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of some of our resident owls in the garden, since you'll be there at night. I would let the public know that parking is very limited at the garden, so we ask that you use the parking and the shuttles that are being made available by the city at the intersection of Santiago and Inez. There's a big vacant lot there, and there will be shuttles, hopefully this year. We had a problem last year. But please, join us for what I'm sure will be another delightful evening in the garden on the 24th. And thank you very much again for hosting it.
I drive by it regularly on my way home, and it is spectacular, absolutely spectacular, and it smells just as good as it looks.
Yes, it does.
So thank you for the Rose Society, and I hope everything's all right with Rebecca. We tell her we missed her.
I think she's at a school board meeting tonight.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't be here tonight, so she asked me to fill in for her.
I have it down. I'm going to put it in my calendar, so Tom and I will come by on the 24th and take a walk and enjoy all your hard work. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Iris Zietlow, to be followed by Nicole Ochoa.
Good evening.
Good evening,
We'll just
Mayor
ignore the
Edwards.
dirt on your nose. It's okay.
So sorry. Good evening, Mayor Edwards and members of the City Council. I'm talking on behalf of the City of Temecula Community Services Department, and currently we are presenting Mary Poppins, which will be at the Old Town Temecula Theater on June 22nd through the 25th. I am part of the ensemble, and it is an amazing experience. I want the public to know that it is a safe and welcoming environment for their kids. We have kids from kindergarten all the way through their senior year of high school, and we all come together and we all present this beautiful piece of work. It teaches your kids teamwork, it teaches them responsibility, learning their lines, learning their dances, and I think it's a wonderful place and a safe place to have your children express themselves creatively with others. Our next project will be 13 the Musical Teen Theater Summer Camp. The camp dates are July 5th through August 10th, 2017. Those performances will also be at the Old Town Temecula Theater. And this is a teen camp, so it'll be ages about 13 through high school. And again, it will be a wonderful performance, a safe place to have your kids and just experience and experiment with their talents and learning new things about themselves. Me, personally, I've made tons of friends that I'll have for the rest of my life, and I'm very thankful to our team, Jennifer Stewart and her team, our tech and our crew, our costumes department, our choreographer, our vocal director, everyone who's part of this that put this together and will continue to put on great shows. I just want the public to know that it is a wonderful place, and we rehearse at the Jefferson Recreation Center, and I hope y'all will come to our Mary Poppins, and hopefully for your teenagers, sign them up for 13 the Musical Teen Theater Camp. You can find information at TemeculaCalifornia.gov/TCSD, and thank you very much.
My goodness, Mr. Hawkins, she's really good.
Your report?
You know what, Iris, I tell parents that theater and dance and music and even playing an instrument is something you can take with you your entire life.
Absolutely.
So if you move to another city, that's really a very quick and easy way to make friends is to join a local theater group. And don't you guys learn production too?
We do.
Everything.
Yes, and of course, if maybe you can't do the show, we do offer community service for anyone that wants to come in and do tech, whether it's costumes, spotlight, moving sets on and off. We have plenty of kids who come back and do that, so it's wonderful. It's
Oh,
an
that's
awesome
great.
opportunity.
Well, you know, I think maybe I'll show up and see if there's like one spot to stand in the back.
We'll see.
You guys are
I'm sure.
awesome. So please thank everyone. And Mr. Hawkins, good job.
Thank you so much. Have a
you.
wonderful night, and thank you.
And the last speaker is Nicole Ochoa.
Good evening.
Good evening. Wow, there's some tough acts to follow there. Good evening, Mayor Edwards and members of the council. My name is Nicole Ochoa, and I'm the Market Development Manager for Renovate America's Hero PACE program. I'm here supporting communities in Riverside County, and really just to give you a quick update on what we've been doing here in the city of Temecula and to share with you some enhancements that we made to our program. I've also brought a small folder of information that I will leave here with the clerk for each of you. So first on what we've been doing here in the city, we've helped about 1,400 homeowners invest $32 million in upgrading and improving their properties. That's $56 million in economic stimulus for the city, which equates to 277 local jobs created and retained. These improvements also translate to about 250 million kilowatt hours of energy savings and about 70,000 tons of emission reductions, which is the equivalent to removing approximately 13,000 SUVs off the road for a year.
Wow.
So now, in addition to statutory changes that we've advocated for last year through AB 2693, which put additional mortgage level disclosures and consumer protections into PACE, I also wanted to update you on some other changes that we've made to our program. We now confirm terms with 100% of all homeowners on live recorded calls prior to signing any finance documents. It's essentially taking the contractor out of the equation of the customer understanding the financing. We've also implemented a new contract quality rating system that utilizes project and complaint data to objectively evaluate the contractors with whom we work with. So contractors that have complaints and don't work to fix them, we will suspend or terminate them. In the last 6 months, we've stopped doing business with approximately 80 plus contractors as a result of implementing this new system. And really, the new system really builds on our years of work improving the home improvement marketplace. There's no other form of financing that offers this type of protections. And lastly, we've rolled out our new lower set of interest rates that contractors can offer. So the goal is really to lower monthly payments for homeowners. There's more great things happening, but I want to make sure I'm respecting your time. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Nicole. You know, I'm so glad to hear about the changes. because it is a great program, but it's only as good as the contractors that are, representing the program. So I'm glad you've kind of gone one-on-one with the applicants to explain to them the financing.
Correct. To my knowledge, we're the only PACE provider that currently has implemented that new contractor rating.
Yeah, so that is huge, and thank you very much for that. So we know it's a great benefit to residents and to the community. So
Great.
thank you for giving us some numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So, city council reports, and I don't see anyone in the queue. Oh, too early. Dr. Ron?
All right, good evening. Thank you. Just a couple of quick things. I wanted to update, report out on 2 trips that I took recently. One of those was to Sacramento. Myself and the city clerk attended a meeting hosted by Capital Weekly on a marijuana conference, and I know that's been an issue that we've been talking about for some time here and struggling with as local government. It was, I think, a good opportunity for us because they had some highly recognized experts, including Tim Cromartie, who's the legislative advocate for the California League, but also Lori Ajax, who's the newly appointed chief of the Bureau of Medical Cannabis for the state of California. A lot of good information. I think a lot of stuff that we learned that was new to us and certainly helped dispel a lot of misunderstandings and myths that are out there right now. But boy, we have a lot of work cut out for us in order to get this right in the state. So certainly was a valuable trip. The other one was I serve as the city's representative on the board for the RCHCA, which is the organization overseeing the implementation of the Stevens Kangaroo Rat Habitat Conservation Plan. And one of the first things 3 years ago now, when I first got on that board, one of the first things I said was, at that time it had been 17 years of implementation. The plan is successful. They've set aside 40,000 acres and they've been doing some really good work. It's time we started having a serious discussion about how we delist the kangaroo rat as an endangered species and relieve a lot of the development pressures and fees that are still being applied because of it. We did as a result of some of those discussions, we did our first sort of outreach trip to elected officials in Washington, along with some of the key agencies, including the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And it was a good opportunity as sort of a first introduction to really start the discussion, start the process, let folks know the successes. And we really did let everyone there know that, as contentious as these issues can be sometimes, this is an example of how a community and a region can come together to do it right. And really should be an example of how to do what the whole intent of the Endangered Species Act was in the first place, is not to let these things languish as an endangered species, but to get them recovered and move on. And so it was a great trip, good opportunity, and hopefully we'll get some decent traction in the conversation. One other thing that just sort of coincidentally happened while I was there was the discussion on Murrieta Creek and the Army Corps of Engineers' decision to defund the landscaping portion of the creek restoration. I know we all heard about that. It's roughly a $500,000 expense. And it was extremely frustrating for me, I think, along with everyone else here in the city, to see that happen, because we have a multi-million-dollar project that's there to improve the flood capabilities and community resilience for Murrieta Creek, and yet the Army Corps of Engineers was going to walk away from the project and leave us holding the bag on $500,000 of restoration and damaged landscaping all around the creek. Really, thanks go out to Congressman Calvert's office. We sort of set it up last minute because I was already in town. We got meetings with them, and there was a flurry of emails and letters and things that went out. And between Tuesday and when we met with the Army Corps on Friday, they had been able to identify funds and have told us that they will allocate those funds to cover the overruns on this project, so that they don't walk away from just a dirt lot, that we get the trees and the plants and everything back, and Temecula looks the way it did before they started their work. So special thanks to Congressman Calvert for putting in the hard work. I know they were real busy that week. Also to Jamie Jones and David Turch, who are legislative advocates in D.C., and to the Army Corps for really, taking the time to listen to us and move very quickly on this issue. So that's all I have to report on.
Great work. Jeff?
Matt, special thanks to you too.
Yeah.
Good job.
Really good.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've been sitting up here for a lot of years, and I've always made a point of keeping my public life and my private life separate. But we've got something going on in my family that I just had to share. And so, Jonathan, would you put that picture up? There. This lovely lady was born on June 17th, 1917. And on Saturday, coming in Ocala, Florida, we'll be celebrating my mother's 100th birthday. Aww. So just wanted to let everybody know that. Not that anybody cares besides me, but it's really a neat thing for a family to go through, and our whole family will be together. It's quite a milestone, so thank you for indulging me. Yeah, that was last year, so pretty current.
Really good.
Yeah.
Oh, may we all.
That's all I have.
Yeah, well, wish her happy birthday from us.
I'll do that. Thank you.
And should we adjourn in honor of her birthday today?
Yeah, we usually adjourn in memory of somebody, so I'd kind of be a little uncomfortable doing that. I don't want to wish anything on her.
No, absolutely not.
But thank you for the thought.
All right. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. So we can move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the City Council request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Number 1, waive reading of standard ordinances and resolution. Number 2, approve the action minutes of May 23rd, 2017 and May 31st, 2017 special joint meeting and budget workshop. Number 3, approve the list of demands. Number 4, approve the city treasurer's report as of April 30th, 2017. Number 5, approve financial statements for the third quarter ended March 31st, 2017. Number 6, approve the First Amendment to the agreement with Biotox Laboratories for DUI drug and alcohol screening services for fiscal year 2017-18. Number 7, adopt ordinance 17-02 to approve an amendment to the Temecula Municipal Code prohibiting all commercial marijuana activity in the city and amending regulations pertaining to marijuana cultivation, implementing Proposition 64, the Control, Regulate, and Tax Adult Use of Marijuana Act, and this is the second reading. Number 8, approve the Seventh Amendment to the Cooperation Agreement with the Friends of the Temecula Children's Museum for the support of the Temecula Children's Museum and operation of the Children's Museum concessions. Number 9, approve the purchase and installation agreements with the Miracle Recreation Equipment Company for the renovation of Vale Ranch and Nicholas Parks at the request of Subcommittee Council members Comachero and Stewart. Number 10, approve the purchase and installation agreement with Playcore Wisconsin, Inc., DBA Game Time, for the renovation of Butterfield Stage Park at the request of Subcommittee Council members Comachero and Stewart. Number 11, approve the First Amendment to the agreement with Biblioteca, LLC, and the purchase of additional library self-service checkout equipment. Number 12, approve a purchase and installation agreement with Western Auto Visual for the replacement of an audio-visual system at the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library. Number 13, approve fiscal year 2017-18 CR&R schedule for solid waste and recycling rates pursuant to the franchise agreement with CR&R, Inc. Number 14, approve an agreement for consultant services with Spurlock Landscape Architects for the Uptown Temecula Specific Plan Sidewalk Improvement Guidelines. Number 15, approve the First Amendment to the agreement for consultant services with Larry Walker Associates, Inc. for environmental compliance services. Number 16, approve the Second Amendment to the annual agreement for consultant services with Layton Consulting, Inc. for geotechnical and material testing services. Number 17, we only have 55 of these, so this is good. Number 17, approve Amendment Number 1 to the purchase and sale agreement between Southern California Edison, SCE, and the City of Temecula. Number 18, approve the agreement for consultant services with IMS Infrastructure Management Services, LLC, for the Pavement Management Program Update PW 17-02. Number 19, approve the agreement for consultant services with LaBelle Marvin, Inc. for the Pavement Rehabilitation Program, Residential Slurry Seal PW 17-03. Okay.
Move the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. and we'll cast our votes. And that is 3 ayes with 2 absent. Very good. So we will now recess the city council meeting to the scheduled meetings of Temecula Community Services, the successor agency of the Temecula Redevelopment Agency, the Temecula Housing Authority, and the Temecula Public Financing Authority.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Take it away.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Temecula Community Services District to order. Madam Clerk, let's take the roll tonight.
Director Edwards?
Here.
Director Nagar is absent. Director Ron?
Here.
Director Stewart is absent, and President Comachero.
Here. Do we have any public comments?
We
on
do
this
not.
portion? Okay, we'll skip that, and we'll go right to the consent calendar. Item 20 is approve the action minutes of May 23rd, 2017, and May 31st, 2017 special joint meeting and budget workshop. Item 21, approve financial statements for the third quarter ended March 31st, 2017. And item 22, approve a sponsorship and community support funding agreement with the Temecula Sister City Association for the support of cultural exchange.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion does carry unanimously. Mr. Hawkins, got anything in addition to Mary Poppins?
I don't have much to add, but as we can see from the audience here, summer's out, or excuse me, school is out and summer's definitely here. So between now and the end of July, just a reminder to check out the Summer Sunset Concert Series on Thursdays at the Temecula Amphitheater, and the Moonlight Movies in the Park on Fridays at Temecula and Harveston Community Parks. A reminder that on Wednesday, June 21st from 5 to 7 p.m., the Community Needs Assessment process kicks off for the former Y, now called the Margarita Recreation Center. Beginning with the stakeholders meeting, this and a follow-up meeting will focus on soliciting community input on the types of intergenerational programs and activities that the community around Margarita Park would like to see, which may help to drive future designs and decisions on programming as well. So for additional information, please contact TCSD at 951-694-6480, and that now concludes my report.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Adams, do we have a general manager's report?
I was hoping Mr. Hawkins was going to sing a few bars of his report, but I guess that won't happen.
Well, you can go ahead.
Aaron, you really want me to close out the meeting?
Clear the room.
Thank you, Aaron. Any director's reports?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move adjournment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any objection?
Nope.
Hearing none, we are adjourned.
All right, so we are now meeting as the successor agency.
What was that again?
The successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency. So let's have the roll call for the record, please.
Director Comachero?
Here.
Director Nagar is absent. Director Ron?
Here.
Director Stewart is absent. Chair Edwards?
I am still here. So under SARDA, public comments, anything?
We do not have any public
We do
comments.
not? All right, then we'll skip on down to the notice to the public on the consent calendar. All matters listed in our consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Item 23, approve the action minutes of the May 31st, 2017 special joint meeting / budget workshop. Number 24, receive and file financial statements for the third quarter ended March 31st, 2017.
Move 23 and 24.
So,
Forgot how many of us were here tonight.
yes, we're shorthanded.
I will
so-
second that.
Okay, push your button. There you go, and let's vote. And we have 3 with 2 absent. Thank you, gentlemen. Executive Director, anything?
Nothing tonight?
Nothing on SARDA. And any comments, directors?
Nope.
Nothing? All right, so we will adjourn to the next regular meeting, which will be Tuesday, June 27th at 5:30 p.m. for closed session. And coming back to the joint meeting of the City Council, Community Service District, and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency. So do we have any public comments for this? We do not. All right, then, this is a public hearing, so Any person may submit written comments to the City Council Board of Directors before a public hearing or may appear and be heard in support of or in opposition to the approval of the projects at the time of the hearing. If you challenge any of the projects in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city clerk at or prior to the public hearing. Item number 25. Approve fiscal years 2018-22 Capital Improvement Program CIP and adopt fiscal year 2017-18 CIP and annual operating budgets for the City of Temecula, the Temecula Community Services District TCSD, and the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency SARDA. So could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, you may. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I am not sure how many cities can say they have balanced their budget out 5 years. Yet today, this is the case for the City of Temecula. This evening, we will share how we intend to invest for today, tomorrow, and in the future to maintain the highest quality of life for this community. Given there are multiple pieces to our budgets, funding sources that in some cases touch 3 different budgets, I would like to suggest that we provide the City Council the full presentation and then come back for any individual questions or discussion. If this is acceptable, I think it will allow the broader and much bigger financial picture to be presented and digested. It's important for me to note that we've already provided the City Council and the public a thorough presentation at the budget workshop on May 31st. Tonight, this presentation will be very similar, albeit with the requested City Council adjusted changes from the workshop. Last year at this time, I shared that while we had balanced the budget and several areas of revenue were improving, we remained very concerned about the long-term fiscal health of our city. Further, many of the projects, services, and programs that you will see tonight were truly at risk. The primary driver of this concern was our ability to keep pace with the rising costs for public safety, as well as investing properly in the maintenance of our community and quality of life. This message has been one you have heard from me actually since 2014-15. The benefits of 5-year budget forecasting and modeling are numerous. In our specific case, we were able to continually track this growing concern, evaluate our business options, and make the necessary course corrections. The agenda for tonight will include a brief look back at the last 12 months, Measure S, an overview of the 5-year CIP, an introduction of our operating budget for fiscal year 17-18, the Temecula Community Services District operating budget, as well as a discussion on 5-year strategic planning. November 8, 2016, the voters of our community approved Measure S, a 1-cent sales tax to address these shortcomings, and in some cases providing much higher levels of service, especially in the arena of public safety. January 10, 2017, this City Council amended our contract with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, and we added 11 new sworn officers to our staffing ratio, 10 of which would be funded by the anticipated new revenue. This was a commitment made throughout our discussions regarding Measure S. These officers were officially onboarded by mid-April. February 28, 2017, we presented our mid-year budget, and the City Council adopted fiscal guidelines that included public safety desired staffing levels, asset management programs, capital improvements, and general services. The City Council also programmed the anticipated revenue that we would receive between April 1st and June 30th. As a reminder, the collection of this new revenue did not begin until April 1st, and we really won't completely be able to verify what a full year of Measure S will generate until September of 2018. As such, we have taken a conservative approach in our programming for these next 12 months. At the mid-year, this City Council not only made the commitment to enhancing public safety, but the decision to address many areas of deferred maintenance was also made. Investments of Measure S were made in roads, residential slurry seal citywide, parks, facilities including the Ronald H. Roberts Public Library, Birdsall Sports Complex, as well as park and public restrooms. But before we launch into the budget slides, I wanted to share some current demographic information for the city, which does play a significant role in our local economy and our local budget. As recently published from Nielsen Reports and the Southwest Riverside County Board of Realty, the following demographics have been provided. Our current population is just over 111,000. This is a 1.8% increase over the previous year. Median age in years, we're still 34.9 years young. Number of households is nearly 35,000. This is up 1.2% over 2016. The average household income is approaching $98,000 a year, and this is up 3.6% from last year. And our April median home price in Temecula was $435,000, and this is up 4% as well. And a couple of the most important metrics in our demographics include the number of jobs, which is approaching 53,000, and this is up 2.5% compared to 2016. And our April unemployment rate, and this is really fairly staggering, Temecula's unemployment rate was listed at 3.5%. This is down from 4.2% the previous year. And just to give it in context, Riverside County is at 4.9, state of California is at 4.5, and the nation's at 4.4. For fiscal year 2017-18, operating budget and CIP has been drafted to be in line with the 6 core values of the City Council adopted Quality of Life Master Plan from 2011. They are on the screen, and I will not read them all. But it is important for me to acknowledge that we have spent a great deal of time and energy analyzing and modeling fiscal scenarios over the next 5 years, making the best assumptions of known fiscal events and reviewing the entire CIP document for project funding and priority consideration. Yet we also built these budgets around the City Council adopted fiscal policies approved at mid-year, as I mentioned earlier. Granted, priorities can and will change, yet the 5-year modeling has become an invaluable tool for us to utilize to ensure a solid fiscal and stable future is paramount. We are not just concerned about the year in front of us, but rather those that follow. As you will soon hear, we have elected to presume that 2 major capital improvement projects in the near term would be prioritized given past City Council direction and CIP discussions. They include the formal design, construction, and eventual operations of a new intergenerational community center at Margarita Community Park, formerly known as the YMCA, and the design and construction and eventual operation of a teen village component at the existing Community Recreation Center complex. There's a significant investment program to maintain our desired law enforcement staffing levels, taking into account expected rising costs of labor. Similarly, there's a continued commitment to maintain fire staffing levels at 4 persons per engine. We have also included upgrades to Fire Station 84, capital costs associated with the replacement of a $1.3 million ladder truck over the next 2 years, as well as the cost for replacement of 4 fire inspection vehicles. For consideration, we'll also be introducing the launch of an annual fire inspection program, phased in, geared at education first, with work towards compliance for a safer community. And not to be overshadowed will be a commitment to maintaining the amazing assets we have enjoyed delivering to our community over the past 28 years. This is addressed in both the annual operating budget and the CIP, including investments in prioritized parks, prioritized streets, sidewalks, trails, prioritized facilities, fleet vehicles, upgraded technology where prudent for our service delivery. The AOB and CIP also accounts for strategic investments over the next 5 years that have the ability to significantly lower our ongoing operating costs. Examples include streetlight acquisition and LED conversions throughout the city, and a recycled water and plant material conversion project. The AOB CIP also accounts for leveraged investments of new revenue with existing more restricted revenue to ultimately fund the projects, some of which would not come to fruition in the near term otherwise. And in response to the City Council discussion at the May 31st budget workshop, additional fire staffing is included to open Fire Station 95 in Roarpaw, January of 2018. In order to fund the opening of Station 95, Measure S funding was redirected from the pavement rehabilitation CIP project, and the solar option on the library parking Phase 2 project was removed, which did not provide the desired return on our investment. Combined with available fund balance for Measure S, these adjustments will cover the additional $2 million a year needed to open this new fire station. We are very pleased to present Not just a balanced budget for fiscal year 17-18, but a balanced 5-year forecasted budget and a very robust and a very aggressive capital improvement work program. And at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Pat Thomas, our Public Works Director, who will walk us through the capital improvement program budget. Pat?
Thank you, Aaron. The Capital Improvement Program, also known as the CIP, is a comprehensive planning document that identifies and prioritizes major capital improvement projects over the next 5 years. Projects in this document have been scheduled in each of the 5 fiscal years based on community needs, as determined by the City Council, and on the availability of funding. Many of the projects in the CIP are funded with one-time revenue sources that are non-recurring. Therefore, it's extremely important that the appropriate level of effort is expended to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of these one-time dollar sources. The CIP budget document includes project description sheets for each project within the overall program. These sheets provide a description of the project, the benefit and core value of the city which the project addresses, a status of the project, the estimated project cost, the source of funds, and the future operations and maintenance costs associated with these projects. There are a total of 64 projects proposed in the CIP that are categorized as circulation projects aimed at reducing traffic congestion, infrastructure and public facilities projects, park projects, and a placeholder for the available housing funds administered by the SARTA or successor agency to the former redevelopment agency. There's approximately $533 million in total project costs within the CIP. $393 million represents the cost to complete these projects. $139.6 million has been previously spent on the listed capital projects, and we've identified $256.1 million in funded CIP projects for the term of the 5-year program. $32.7 million has been appropriated in this fiscal year 17-18 budget, and $85.9 million will be carried over from the prior years, leaving $137.5 million in funding that we anticipate over the coming 4 years. As shown on the table in front of you, $316 million of the project costs are identified for circulation improvements over 21 projects. There are 30 infrastructure projects totaling $50 million, 12 park and recreation projects totaling $14.5 million, and a placeholder project for the remaining $12.5 million in redevelopment agency bonds. There is a total of 18 new projects requested in the CIP this year, totaling over $32 million. These projects will be discussed in more detail in the slides that follow. Some of the major traffic circulation improvement projects include our Interstate 15 and State Route 79 or Temecula Parkway Interchange Project, which we just started construction on. The French Valley Parkway and I-15 Phase 2 project, currently in design. Our Diaz Road Widening Project, the Overland Drive Extension and the Murrieta Creek Bridge over Overland Drive, and the Butterfield Stage Road Extension, which is the final phase of the completion of Butterfield Stage Road. With respect to our streets, certainly one of the highest priorities we can strive for is the proper maintenance of our roadways. This next year, we will be updating our pavement management program, which the council just approved the contract for our consultant to do that service on your consent calendar this evening. That'll be used to establish priorities for future years and invest over $12 million in our pavement rehabilitation projects. This will continue our ongoing investment in our road network and includes $1.8 million in new gas tax funds, which will supplement approximately $6.6 million carried over from last year. The major road rehabilitation projects that are underway include the Margarita Road Rehabilitation Project, which just began this past week, the Winchester Road Rehabilitation Project, which will be starting later this summer, a residential slurry seal project, which includes over 50 miles of residential streets being started this week as well, and a future citywide grind and overlay project, which will be programming as a result of our pavement management program update. We will also be investing in our traffic signal infrastructure to reduce congestion throughout the city, utilizing $560,000 in new Measure S funds including the enhancement and upgrade of our closed-circuit television cameras, installation of fiber optic communication upgrades, traffic signal controller upgrades, and equipment to improve and optimize traffic signal timing coordination. There are also 30 infrastructure projects totaling just under $50 million in costs. Notable projects include the Bike Lane and Trail program, which includes $450,000 in carryover funds with an additional $233,000 allocated this next fiscal year. For fiscal year 2017-18, $153,000 is allocated for the construction of a new pump track to be located at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. The city will save significantly on its annual street lighting costs through the street light acquisition and LED conversion project. Following approval of the purchase and sale agreement by the city and the amendment considered earlier tonight, and SCE, the purchase and sale agreement is scheduled for approval by the CPUC later this year, along with further discussion about options for financing and acquisition of approximately 7,500 streetlights throughout the city and conversion to the LED light fixtures. We will also be investigating how our streetlight infrastructure can be utilized for future smart city applications and other revenue-generating possibilities. The Information Technology Department has been working with a consultant to inventory the city's facilities and develop recommendations for a comprehensive citywide surveillance camera program. The goals of this program will be to support public safety, traffic management, and asset protection activities in service to our citizens. This program will begin in fiscal year 2017-18 and is anticipated to be complete by the end of fiscal year 2018-19. The city will utilize Measure S funds to leverage a grant from the Department of Water Resources to convert 6 landscape areas within the city from irrigation with potable water to recycled water. This will result in reducing the cost of irrigation as well as conserving our valuable potable water resources. This project is scheduled for completion by June of 2018. The ADA transition plan, with over $250,000 programmed for analysis of facilities and public right-of-way, will be continued from the current CIP and completed later this year. Improvements at Fire Station 84 include the remodeling of the training room at a cost of $167,000. To further refine the project plan for the I-15 branding and visioning conceptual landscape plan, $100,000 is proposed to continue the work started by Visit Temecula Valley and gain acceptance of the plan by Caltrans for implementation with future freeway improvement projects. As the highest circulating library in Riverside County, the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library is proposed to have a second parking lot installed below the existing lot. A total of $1 million is proposed to evaluate the feasibility and design of a new parking structure in Old Town. Construction funding for this project has not yet been identified. And as Aaron alluded to in his introduction, the next 2 projects are of high priority, and we're fortunate to begin the design of these 2 highly anticipated facilities. Design funding for the rehabilitation of the former YMCA, now called the Margarita Recreation Center, is proposed for fiscal year 17-18, with construction funding scheduled for fiscal year 18-19 for this new intergenerational community center. A total of $645,000 is programmed for the design of a new teen village to be constructed at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park adjacent to the CRC facility. $8 million has been programmed for the construction of this facility in fiscal year 2020-21, leveraging Measure S funds with development impact fees. And both of these projects are made possible by the passage of Measure S. The city has nearly $2 million programmed for sidewalk improvements in fiscal year 2017-18, including $550,000 to be spent citywide on sidewalk improvements based on highest priority needs, $450,000 for the converting of the Old Town Boardwalk sidewalks to stamped concrete. Additional sidewalk improvements are planned for Old Town on Moreno Road, 5th and 6th Streets. And finally, a total of $137,000 is programmed to complete the sidewalk along Inez Road between Winchester and County Center Drive. The pool at the CRC is due for renovation, including removal and replacement of pool decking, pool replastering, and installation of enhanced lighting systems with energy-efficient LED lights. The city's tribute to our military continues with installation of the Fallen Heroes Memorial at the Duck Pond and we thank the Temecula Valley Women's Club for their donation earlier this evening. And a total of $470,000 is programmed for the coming year for park improvements, including parking lot repairs and resurfacing, concrete sidewalk replacement, fencing repairs and replacement, landscaping and irrigation system efficiency upgrades, drainage system improvements, and lighting system repairs and efficiency upgrades. The third and fourth synthetic turf fields located at the Patricia H. Birdsall Sports Park will be replaced by August of this year utilizing Measure S funds. And that also includes the first two fields that we're converting to synthetic turf that was appropriated at the mid-year budget this year. So all four of the fields at the Birdsall Park will be converted to synthetic turf, and that'll happen by August of this year. $1.5 million is being allocated using Measure S and other funding sources for the enhancement of the city park playground equipment and play surfaces, beginning with the new theme design playgrounds at Vale Ranch Park, Nicholas Park, Margarita Park, Veterans Park, Sunset Park, and Butterfield Stage Park. And 3 of those projects were on your agenda this evening, and we'll be moving forward with those first. A total of 10 public restrooms throughout the city will be renovated, again utilizing Measure S funds, in addition to a full renovation and expansion of the restroom and snack bar facilities at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. And now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Luke Watson, our Community Development Director, who will provide details on the SARTA capital improvement budget.
Thanks, Pat. In 2010 and 2011, the former redevelopment agency issued affordable housing bonds. As a result of the dissolution of the redevelopment agency in 2012, the remaining $12.5 million in affordable housing bond proceeds were passed to the city for use in the development of affordable housing. In order to utilize these bond proceeds for their specifically intended purpose, affordable housing, the city released a request for proposals, or an RFP, to solicit innovative project ideas from the development community. The release of the RFP was intended to engage a competitive process whereby development teams would vie for the remaining bond proceeds, and thus the city could then select the most impactful and cost-effective developments possible. This effort resulted in the receipt of 20 separate affordable housing development proposals, which is a record for the city in affordable housing RFPs. The City Council reviewed all 20 proposals at the April 11th City Council meeting and made specific recommendations on which projects should move on in the selection process. The development teams chosen to continue to the next stage are currently preparing new financial pro forma information for city review and will be scheduled for interviews in the next few weeks. This competitive selection process is anticipated to be complete by the end of the summer. And with that, I will now turn it back over to Aaron Adams to complete the CIP portion of the presentation.
The CIP program was presented to the Planning Commission on May 17th for consistency with the general plan, to the Public Traffic Safety Commission on May 25th, and to the Community Services Commission last night, June 12th. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Finance Director, Jennifer Hennessy, to provide an overview of the fiscal year 17-18 annual operating budget.
Thank you, Aaron. The general fund, which serves as the primary operating fund for the city, is structurally balanced in fiscal year 2017-18, with revenues exceeding expenditures by $2.1 million. Revenue is projected to reach nearly $76 million this year, which is a 6% increase over the prior year. Expenditures are projected at $73.7 million, which is an increase of 4% over the prior year. Public safety costs reflect an increase of 20%, due primarily to the enhanced staffing levels supported by Measure S. General fund contributions include the $2.1 million annual debt service payment for the Civic Center and $540,000 for the financing of the streetlight acquisition project previously mentioned. The general fund is projected to end fiscal year 17-18 with $28.4 million in fund balance. Policy level reserves are fully funded at $18.4 million, which represents 25% of the general fund operating budget. $2.3 million is assigned for capital project expenditures over the next fiscal year, and $359,000 is set aside for the Pechanga-funded police officer, leaving a total available fund balance of just over $7.2 million available for one-time expenditures. The budget process begins each year in January with the projection of revenues, which serves as the foundation for the development of the operating budget. To begin this process, staff analyzes each major revenue source, reviews economic trends, and adjusts for local anomalies, such as new businesses or development projects expected to occur during the coming year. In addition, we receive input from a team of consultants for both sales and property tax projections. Continued growth is expected in the city's major revenue sources. The city's largest revenue source of sales tax is projected to increase by 5%, excluding Measure S, as the local economy continues to remain strong and we're seeing double-digit growth in many sectors of the local economy. Property tax revenue is expected to be 4% higher than the prior year due to a combination of increased home values, new home inventories, and the recapture of property tax from homes that received value reductions during the recession. Franchise fees are received from local utility and cable providers for the use of the public right-of-way. This revenue source is projected to decrease due to a combination of lower electric rates and a decrease in customer base for cable subscribers. Measure S funds are accounted for in a separate fund for increased transparency, and a portion is transferred into the general fund to cover the cost of the 10 new police officers added at mid-year, additional fire staffing to open Station 95 in January, as well as a new fire inspection program and fire contract increases. Overall, revenues are projected to increase by 6% over the prior year to a total of $76 million. As illustrated in the pie chart, general fund revenue comes from a variety of sources. Sales tax generates 49% of the general fund revenue. Property tax contributes 10%. Property tax in lieu of vehicle license fees generates another 10%. 5% comes from franchise fees. An additional 4% comes from transient occupancy tax, and 4% is received as a reimbursement revenue from the CIP for administration, as well as from Pechanga for funding of one sworn police officer. And mentioned previously, Measure S revenue is allocated to multiple funds. A total of $4.9 million will be transferred to the general fund, representing 7% of general fund revenue, with the remaining Measure S revenue allocated to the CIP, to TCSD, information technology, and various replacement funds. The general fund operating budget for 17-18 are projected at $73.7 million, which is the largest operating budget in the city's history. Public safety makes up the majority of the budget and reflects the investment of Measure S funding to bring the police staffing ratio to a desired 1 officer per 1,000 residents. The police contract reflects a projected rate increase of 8%, and the fire contract includes a 9% increase, including a newly proposed fire inspection program and the addition of fire personnel at mid-year to staff Station 95. Administrative departments reflect a 9% increase due to inflationary growth and the addition of a new position in human resources to be dedicated to citywide recruitment activity. The Public Works budget is flat compared to the prior year due to the elimination of one position, which offset the inflationary growth within the department. Community development reflects a 14% increase. However, the higher costs are fully reimbursed by developers who fund dedicated part-time workers and consultants to expedite their projects. Finally, the non-departmental category reflects a 59% decrease as the TCSD contribution is now funded with Measure S as opposed to the general fund. 55% of general fund resources are dedicated to public safety, which is a 6 percentage point increase over the prior year. Public works, including CIP administration, parks maintenance, and land development, make up 18% of the total budget, with a budget of $13.5 million. CIP admin is fully reimbursed from eligible capital projects and is reflected as a general fund revenue. Administration, which includes the city manager's office, emergency services, economic development, finance, human resources, city attorney, city clerk, council, and community support total 12% of the general fund operating budget. Community development, which includes planning and building and safety, receives 7% of the general fund with a budget of $5.3 million. And the non-departmental category, including debt service payments on the Civic Center, make up 8% of the general fund budget. As the largest expenditure of the general fund, the police department budget is projected at $33.6 million for the coming year, which reflects an increase of 17% over the prior year. The budget includes the continued funding for 10 police officers added in April after Measure S took effect. The budget includes the replacement of 2 motorcycles and the continued 50% cost-sharing arrangement with Temecula Valley Unified School District to fund 5 school resource officers. The police department is currently staffed with 111 sworn officers, 19 community service officers, and 17 administrative personnel. The fire department budget is projected at $16.6 million, which is offset by the $8.5 million fire tax credit collected via property tax payments. The net impact to the city is just under $8.1 million, which is a 33% increase over the prior year due to the negotiated labor contract between CAL FIRE and the state, the addition of a new fire inspection program, which includes 2 new positions, and the opening of Fire Station 95 in January of 2018. The department will have 75 employees once Station 95 opens and maintains the 4-person per engine staffing model. The fire budget also includes the replacement of 4 inspection vehicles and a ladder truck. I'll now turn it over to Fire Chief Charlie DeHart, who will be presenting the newly proposed fire inspection program.
The state of California currently requires annual inspections over a number of facilities throughout our city. These facilities include schools, public, private, and charter, hotels, motels, apartment complexes, licensed care facilities with a clientele of over 6 clients. These facilities need to be inspected on an annual basis to ensure there are no fire hazards or life safety issues that would be a threat to the safety of the community or as well as the business. Throughout the state recently, we have seen catastrophic incidents like the Oakland fire that have sparked concerns within the State Fire Marshal's office, as well as local incidents that have occurred recently, such as the Sage Canyon apartment fire. With these fires, the state and the county are now requiring these annual inspections to be conducted on a regular basis. The City of Temecula Fire Department would like to implement this program rather than have the state and county come in and do these inspections with us losing our local control. The Fire Department is proposing the city subsidize the program for the first year and waive the fees of the annual inspection program so we can educate the community and the businesses in the community. We're requesting 2 new positions for this program. The positions will be 1 new fire systems inspector, which would be a county position, and 1 community development technician, which would be a city position. The main focus of the program will be to educate the businesses within the community on fire and life safety issues and how to become compliant with the California fire codes. We are here to work with the community rather than against them. Our goal is to establish an ongoing working relationship with the businesses here in the city and always have an open door policy. I will turn it back over to Jennifer.
Thanks. The budget includes a $40,000 increase to the Community Support Grant Program, bringing the total funding for this program to $100,000. Additionally, a $750,000 lump sum payment towards the city's unfunded liabilities is also reflected in fiscal year 17-18 with the intent to reduce future operating costs. Capital outlay and technology requests include the replacement of several fleet vehicles, including a $1.3 million fire ladder truck, which is spread over 2 fiscal years due to the lead time in ordering the new truck. Additional requests include the replacement of technology equipment, copiers, and council meeting broadcast equipment. With the estimated revenue of $23 million per year, Measure S has undoubtedly changed the landscape of the city's annual budget and CIP projections. Expenditures have been programmed in accordance with council's appropriation guidelines. The fiscal year 17-18 budget includes an allocation of $19.7 million in Measure S funding programmed by appropriation category. 31% or $6.2 million towards public safety, 1% or $195,000 towards asset management, 35% or $6.8 million towards capital projects, 33% or $6.5 million towards general services. Public safety remains the city's top priority, with a $6.2 million investment of Measure S for 17-18 to fund 10 police officers, staffing to open Fire Station 95, the new fire inspection program, the increase in the fire contract, the replacement of the ladder truck and 4 inspection vehicles, the surveillance camera project citywide, and improvements at Fire Station 84. Investments in asset management ensure the ongoing maintenance and replacement of the city's aging infrastructure, vehicles, facilities, and technology are funded adequately into the future. Mid-year appropriations provided funding for several asset management studies necessary to determine the adequate funding levels for each asset category. Until the completion of these studies, Measure S allocations towards asset management have been redirected into specific CIP projects for next year. Fiscal year 17-18 allocation to management asset projects include the completion of TCSD's class registration software program, a citywide technology audit, and a project to improve transparency and access to city records. A total of $6.8 million, or 35% of Measure S, is requested to fund 5 different capital projects, some of which could be considered asset management projects, as detailed by Pat during the CIP portion of this presentation. A total of $6.5 million is allocated to fund TCSD, the library, and residential streetlights, as well as an increase in the level of service provided by Parks Maintenance. As you've heard throughout this presentation so far, and illustrated on the past few slides, you can see the widespread use of Measure S dollars at work throughout our city. With the help of our contracted state and federal lobbyists, our city's grant team actively pursues multiple opportunities throughout the year to augment both the capital and operating budgets. The current CIP and operating budget includes over $11 million in grant revenue to fund a variety of capital projects and operating programs. Many of the grants are leveraged with Measure S and development impact fee revenue in order to complete the projects in a timely manner.
Staffing levels citywide reflect a net decrease of 1 position, down to 157.2 authorized full-time positions, including the 5 city council members. As illustrated in the chart, the city's staffing levels have steadily declined over the past 11 years. In fact, staffing levels have not been this lean since 2001. I believe this demonstrates the point that we have truly attempted to do more with less this past decade coming out of the recession. While this statistic reflects authorized positions, it is important to note that we have been challenged operationally by having many of these positions strategically left vacant and are only now in a position to complete formal recruitments. As I've shared with many of you, this is an area I intend to monitor very closely to be sure that with the aggressive capital plan and ongoing programs and services that we are discussing, that we are able to deliver the expected level of service the City Council desires and the community has come to expect. As we embark on this coming year, I intend to keep this dialogue open with each of you for possible adjustments or additions to assure we are properly staffed for our work plan. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Kevin Hawkins, our Community Services Director, who will be providing highlights of the Temecula Community Service District budget.
Thanks, Aaron. The mission of TCSD is to improve the quality of life for our residents through a complement of programs, services, events, and activities, or as we call it, creating community pride through people, parks, and programs. In the FY 17-18 TCSD annual operating budget, the the projected revenue is estimated at $21.4 million. The major funding sources are broken down by TCSD rates and charges at $10 million, $1.85 million, which represents the TCSD portion of Measure C funding. The other half goes to park maintenance, which is included in the general fund. $6.4 million is the contribution from Measure S, and $2.9 million is made up of a combination of recreation fees and contract class user fees and other revenue sources. Again, which brings us to total projected revenues at $21.4 million. Our next slide provides our projected expenditures also at $21.4 million. On the expenditure side, our main categories are as follows. $9.9 million is Parks and Recreation, including the additional funding recommended by Mayor Pro Tem Ron at the budget workshop for the Temecula Valley Symphony and public-private partnership. $7.9 million is recycling and refuse hauling. $1.5 million is for slope maintenance. $985,000 is for residential street lighting. $861,000 is for the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library. $246,000 is for operation and maintenance costs associated with the Harveston Lake Park, and $9,850 for dirt road maintenance services at Leifer Road. Now, regarding the city's special tax, 20 years ago, when Measure C was passed by an overwhelming 77% in 1997, the voters established the tax rate at $74.44 per home per year, which we are proposing to charge again this fiscal year. Our residents, however, receive an excellent level of service because of the city's general fund contribution towards parks and recreation services. In fact, if our Parks and Recreation program was totally funded solely through Measure C funding, it would cost our residents $156 per year. While it was always envisioned that the general fund, and now Measure S, would subsidize the Measure C contribution for Parks and Recreation services in a reasonable amount, this is an area that we must remain sensitive to today and in outer years. As you can see, our residents realize a savings of $81.33 per home per year, as this is paid by the newly approved Measure S 1-cent sales tax, not by Measure C. Community services highlights for FY 17-18 include the continuation of Southern California's premier car show, the annual Temecula Rod Run, which brings in over 55,000 people to Old Town each year to enjoy this signature event. From Old Town to the Ronald Reagan Sports Park, the 4th of July parade and fireworks show will again showcase Temecula's unrivaled community pride. One of our most heartwarming and inspiring events, our annual Special Games, will mark 10 years of celebrating our special needs athletes. Christmas time will offer Santa's Electric Light Parade, Santa's House, and ice skating in Old Town. Also in Old Town, over a 3-day period, the Temecula Art and Street Painting Festival will take place. Additionally, the city will pay tribute to our local veterans at the annual Patriotic Salute to Veterans Day event, featuring the Inland Valley Symphony on the steps of the Civic Center. And finally, we will continue to remember and honor those who lost their lives on 9/11 at a special ceremony held at the Temecula Duck Pond. The city also continues to collaborate with both the Old Town Temecula Association as well as the Visit Temecula Valley to bring residents and visitors these wide-ranging seasonal attractions which are synonymous with the high quality of life here in Temecula. This year, TCSD staff will continue a Margarita Park Needs Assessment to drive future facility design and intergenerational programming at the MRC, or former YMCA facility. In addition to the extremely popular activities at the CPRS award-winning EcoSoar Playground and Splash Pad, Human Services will be expanding on the successful Global Citizens Viticulture Program model to develop a new workforce readiness program for special needs individuals entitled the Intergenerational Horticulture Program. The new program will partner with the county, our Nicholas Foundation, and area farms to teach in-demand skills such as vegetable production, landscaping, irrigation, and basic business practices, and then assist participants with job placement. Staff will continue to explore recommendations from the recently completed Senior Services Master Plan process, as well as begin the RFP process for a citywide Parks Master Plan and the much-anticipated Teen Village design. Our cultural arts team continues to showcase the best in arts and culture through the Old Town Temecula Community Theater, Art Off the Walls on the first Friday of the month, and a new offering, From the Page to the Stage. Working with the Barn Stage Company, TCSD will showcase these free 60-minute programs that are engaging, entertaining, and educational. They will discuss how works of literature, from historical novels to comic strips, can be turned into musicals, using the theme of reading to stir the imagination. Songs from these musicals will be featured with the pianists and live performances at the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library. And with the anticipated completion of the playground at Sam Hicks Park and the recently acquired property adjacent to the Children's Museum, TCSD will continue to work with our various fringe groups to bring interesting and creative programs and activities to these locations. As always, TCSD will continue to offer the highest quality of sports, recreation, and aquatics programs this next fiscal year for a very deserving community. As community ambassadors, the city's parks and open spaces will continue to be safeguarded through our Park Ranger program. Also, a critical part of TCSD operations, the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library, provides excellent library services for our community with a monthly circulation of approximately 50,000 items, highest in the county. In concert with other city staff, public safety, the nonprofit community, faith-based organizations, and regional partners, TCSD will continue to provide program administration through the Homeless Outreach Liaison of the city's three-link program of collaboration, coordination, and communication in a more responsible yet compassionate way to address the issue of homelessness here in Temecula. And from community services to community development, I'd like to again turn to Community Development Director Luke Watson.
Thank you, Kevin. The successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency, otherwise known as SARDA, fiscal year 17-18 operational budget includes debt obligations of the former Temecula Redevelopment Agency. The city's redevelopment agency was dissolved by the state in 2012, and since then the city has worked to wind down the remaining SARDA obligations. It is critical to note that the funding source for the repayment of the SARDA obligations is the Riverside County Redevelopment Property Tax Trust Fund. This fund is made up of property tax receipts collected by the County of Riverside. The city's only responsibility is to administer the SARDA obligations until the term of those obligations expires. The County Trust Fund proceeds are simply passed through to the city. No general fund dollars are obligated or used to satisfy the SARDA obligations. The State Department of Finance approved the following outstanding obligations for fiscal year 2017-18. First, debt service payments for the former redevelopment agency bonds, including 2010 and 2011 issuances, and total $6.6 million. And second, $1.4 million in other DOF approved obligations, including the Abbott Owner Participation Agreement, the Abbott Disposition and Development Agreement, and affordable housing obligations. And again, I will turn it back over to Aaron, who will discuss the 5-year financial plan.
Per city policy, staff creates a 5-year financial forecast of the general fund, the Temecula Community Service District, each and every year. And this year we've added the new Measure S fund. These long-range forecasts serve as strategic planning tools to help evaluate the city's ability to maintain its long-term obligations. The benefit of long-range planning is to alert the decision makers of trends in time to implement changes if necessary.
The 5-year forecast includes realistic revenue growth assumptions based on recent trends and known changes on the horizon. Expenditure projections reflect information received from the county related to both police and fire service contracts, from CalPERS related to rate changes, and fixed staffing levels for all non-safety departments. Police costs are expected to increase between 5 to 8% per year due to the rising cost of labor and benefits, and fire costs reflect growth rates between 6 to 8% per year, plus the addition of fire personnel in January 2018 necessary to open the Fire Station 95 in Rorpaw Ranch area. At this time last year, the general fund was facing a significant structural deficit due to expenditures rising faster than revenue. With the passage of Measure S, that budget gap has been closed, and the general fund is not only balanced in all 5 years, but reserves are fully funded as well. Last year's projections, as indicated by the blue line on the chart, show a projected fund balance of $13 million, with only 63% of the reserves funded due to the structural imbalance within the general fund. In contrast, the general fund is now projected to have over $26 million in fund balance, with 100% of policy level reserves fully funded. As summarized on the screen, Measure S funds have also been modeled over the coming 5 years in accordance with the Council's appropriation guidelines. The chart illustrates the rapid shift of funding towards public safety as the costs for police and fire continue to rise over the coming 5 years. Measure S funding dedicated to public safety grows from 31% this next year to 43% by year 5. Also illustrated is the ongoing reinvestment into the city's roads, vehicles, facilities, parks, and technology necessary to properly maintain and replace our city's assets. The annual contribution to asset management will be refined as the individual studies are completed over this next year. Again, because the amount of Measure S revenue is merely an estimate at this point in time, we've been conservative in programming this new revenue source and have appropriated on average only 90% of what we expect to receive.
In closing, I would again just like to reiterate the uniqueness and privilege of the opportunity we have been given to balance out 5 years, meet our reserve requirements, fund the public safety to our desired levels, and invest into needed capital projects, as well as the proper maintenance of our assets and maintain the high quality of life of programs and services that our residents have come to expect. We have a great deal to be proud of, and we remain a blessed community on many, many fronts. And I'd like to thank all the department heads and their staff for their efforts in preparing excellent budget submittals. I also want to recognize the members of the budget team who have dedicated many hours over the past several months to complete this year's annual operating budget, as well as the CIP binders. And my thanks go out to, of course, our finance director, Jennifer Hennessy, but also Rudy Graciano, Pascal Brown, Tricia Hawk, and Shirley Robinson. And with that, Madam Mayor, your city staff is available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Aaron. It's an amazing report. Staff, congratulations. Excellent. Do you have any questions before we open the public hearing?
Nope.
Matt, none? All right. Then this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. And do we have any comments?
Madam Mayor, we do not have any public comments.
No comments. So anybody wish to speak to the budget? Going once? Going twice, and we will close. Mr. Comachero.
Well, with the public hearing closed, and with big thank yous to Aaron, Jennifer, and your team, it never ceases to astound me the job that the effort that our budget team puts in and the quality of the final product is just staggering. And so thank you to all. And with that, I'd like to move that we approve items 25.1 through item 25.6.
Oh, I will second that.
Sorry if we woke you up.
Okay, push your button. All right, that is 3 with 2 absent. And again, thank you, everyone. It's a Herculean effort and very much appreciated. I'm very, very happy. I think your council members are very happy. Okay. So, yes. Oh, yes, I do have to adjourn the joint meeting, huh? Oh, yes, I do. All right, then we will call that joint meeting adjourned. It's at the bottom of the page. I just didn't read down that far. Okay, then we'll reconvene the Temecula City Council, and do we have any departmental reports?
These are just receive and file, Madam Mayor.
Okay, and commissioners, how are you this evening? Anything? Zach, you want to go first?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, a couple things. That was a fantastic presentation, by the way. That's just impressive. So as a resident, it's nice to know all the things we're doing. Director Hawkins went over it briefly, what we do at TCSD, and we had our meeting last night, and we get extremely detailed reports about what the city does on a monthly basis. And I want to just encourage residents to come to that and really see what you get with the city and what we do. It's, like I said, it's extremely detailed. It's just a great opportunity for residents. So I just want to encourage residents to come. Last night we had Youth Advisory Council. We do annual awards for Youth Advisory Council. And again, whether it's Youth in Government or Youth Advisory Council or even the kids we saw tonight, I'm just overall impressed with the kids in our community. Quite a few of the kids were moving on, graduating from that Youth Advisory Council. So again, want to encourage other kids to come up into that program. And the other day I was driving my son to Mary Poppins over at the JRC, and I go past a sign and there's some graffiti on it. I log on the city's website once we get parked and I send him on in, and upload a photograph, go in, pick them up, we leave 20 minutes later. We're driving past and my son goes, "It's already painted over."
Well, yeah.
And so just a huge kudos to Public Works and everything they do. It was just amazing how the responsiveness of that and uploading a picture and it gets taken care of quickly. A couple more quick things. The playgrounds that you approved tonight. I really like the fact that we're not just doing a one-for-one swap. We're looking at these playgrounds and making them destination playgrounds, making them adapt into the community needs. So we received, again, I had a lot of questions last night, and Erica was very kind to answer them all, but it was really good to see that we're doing that, and we're looking at these parks individually. And then there's been a lot of talk about cultural arts lately, and I just want the public to know how hard the team works. Bea Barnett specifically, Tracy Frick as well. That team is working amazingly hard, and the amount of love, desire, and effort that they're putting into cultural arts in our city, I just want them to know that we know that they're working really hard. So I'll end with that. Thank you.
We know and we appreciate it too. So thank you, Zach. Mr. Telesio, anything?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing. And Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, just announcing that our next meeting for the Public Traffic and Safety Commission will be June 22nd, 6 p.m. in this room, and the community's invited.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. City Manager, anything?
Madam Mayor, I have a few infrastructure updates. Temecula Parkway Freeway Interchange, if I could have those slides come up. The freeway interchange construction is underway and will last through December 2018. We began the demolition of the Arco gas station actually today. And a reminder to the residents that no parking will be allowed on the dirt lot near the southbound on-ramp beginning June 30th. And I also want to remind, I know it's summer, but parents, please do not let your children trespass across this property while trying to get to the confluence of the Temecula-Marietta Creek that has seemingly cropped up, and I would just encourage everyone to stay away from the construction zone. While we're losing a park and ride lot there at I-1579, there are several alternative designated park and ride locations in the city, including the Promenade Mall, Orchard Christian Fellowship Church, United Methodist Church, and Ranch Community Church on Temecula Parkway. And you can go to the website that's on the screen there for more locations. Also important, there are a few midweek nighttime lane and ramp closures that are being scheduled for the Temecula Parkway interchange from June 20th through June 23rd between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. This is midweek, this is not a weekend. We are staggering the closures and hours throughout the night to accommodate travelers as conveniently as possible. And for more detailed information, you can visit the project website listed there, or call the hotline, or follow the city's Facebook account. A lot of pavement management improvement work is happening around the city. You heard about some of it this evening. We're slurry sealing Winchester Road from Margarita Road to Yanez Road through the majority of the month of June. Also Jefferson Avenue from Marietta to Rancho California Road, and Temecula Parkway from Pechanga Parkway heading east all the way out to the city limits. This project will last until the first or second week of July. And we are completely rehabilitating and replacing the pavement along Margarita Road from Rancho California Road to Temecula Parkway. This will last through the summer, and our goal is to get it done before school begins in August. That may be ambitious, but that's what we're shooting for. Also, new sidewalks are currently under construction. You may have seen them here in Old Town, the north entrance there along Front Street, as well as on the south side of 5th Street. And the best place to learn about these updates and more is on our website and Facebook page. The Temecula Parkway Interchange has an additional dedicated website and hotline as well, so we encourage everyone to follow this closely. This is a very large project that will be somewhat disruptive over the next 18 months, so we want everyone to stay engaged.
But the pain is worth the gain.
We'll be good.
Peter,
that is all.
Yep, thank you, Aaron. Do you have anything, Peter?
Yes, we had a closed session tonight, and we have no items to report under the Brown Act from
All
that
right.
closed session.
Thank you. Then, gentlemen, nothing
Move
further?
adjournment.
I have a motion and
Second.
a second to move adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you.